Hello, my name is Kathryn VanArendonk. I am a critic for Vulture, and I am so happy to be here talking about Pachinko today. I have to say, as a TV critic, I watch an insane amount of television, right? And a lot of it feels unbelievably the same to all other things that are on. I think we all know what it feels like to turn on a show and it just has that sort of, there's like a sword and then somebody gets mad at somebody else and you're sort of thinking, I don't care. When I watched Pachinko early this year, it was like finding a treasure, and I just wanted to yell about it to everyone. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be here to yell about it in person to more people than my family. And I am particularly thrilled to be here to talk with Minha Kim, who is so unbelievably great in this show, as you have just seen. So if you could join me in welcoming her, she's going to come out. Hello.
Hi.
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 Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I know this is something you have talked about a little bit before, but I really want to make sure everyone understands exactly how new you were to acting when you started working on this show. Could you just talk a little bit about how the show sort of came to your attention, how you first learned about it, and then what the process was of actually auditioning?
Well, to be honest, when I first participated in this audition, I didn't know this audition was held because back then I didn't have any agency or management. So I couldn't get any information about this, which I was dying to do it. But the casting director in Korea, she called me and asked me to, you want to participate in this audition? So I said, yes, of course, like, please. And then I read the audition script. But back then, I didn't know it was pachinko because they were using the other terms for the security-wise. So, but as soon as I read the audition script, it was amazing. It was beautiful. And then I thought, how come the audition script should be like this beautiful? So and then when I got the second call back, I figured out it was pachinko. And then I read the book right away, and I fell in love again. And then, the audition started from that, and it continues for more than 3 months. So
3 months of auditions.
And 3 months. So it was not only about doing the performance. We had a lot of interviews, talk a lot. And the last step was doing the chemistry audition. That was my last step. And then finally I got the role. Yeah.
That's so much energy into a role before you even know that it's yours. I mean, that it seems so grueling, right? Because the cost of it, the time of it, and then the sort of constant risk of, but what if I have put in all of this time and they don't choose me?
But still, this is kind of like a weird things, and this is almost like first time feeling this kind of things. But while I was doing the audition, I don't know where that confidence came from, but I just felt like this is something I should do, and this is something I can do, like the best. So like while I was doing the audition, yes, it needs, like, I had to, concentrate, and it needs a lot of energy, but still I learned a lot of things through this process, and kind of gave me the time to learn about this character, the Sanja. So right after I got the role and I should go to the shooting right away, I didn't need much time to get prepared for the shooting because I did study about her while I was doing the audition. So, it was great. It was really fun, and I learned so many things.
I would imagine, right? I'm curious what the initial script was like. What was it? A scene from the show, the audition script, that you thought, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful"?
Oh yeah, it was the scene from the show where was kind of very intense scenes where I broke up with Hanso, and when Isak proposed me to get married and go to Osaka. Those were the scenes that I had to take for the audition, which was really tough.
Yeah,
for 3 months.
For 3 months performing that scene. Oh wow, yeah. But I have to believe that over that period of time that you spend with this character, I'm curious whether your understanding of her changed as you sort of understood more from the book, and were there things about her that you thought like sort of you initially thought one thing and then discovered something new about her, or were sort of surprised by as you spent that time?
First, when I read the book, when I got the second call, I was every time I mean, like I move on to the next chapter, I was so surprised because like, how can this happen? Like how? And how can she suffer all these kind of things? And like, I mean, how? And then I asked to my grandmother, and is this real? I mean, because she's 94 years old, so she suffers all this era, same period. She's almost like same age with Sanja. So, but she said, yes, it's actually more than that. It's not about the fact. It's about their emotional, and like it's about their cultural things. Like, so when I first surprised by Sanja, and then secondly surprised by my grandmother, I had to find the similarities between Sanja and me, and then also find the difference between her and me. And then when I read the script again and again and again, I find new things. I discover the whole new things every time I read the script. And it continues on whenever I read it. And then when I finally on the set, I collect all the differentiations and then try to put it out whenever I feel which is right. Because none of them were wrong, or there were no answer, because all the feelings that I felt while I was reading the script or while I was just thinking about my characters, they're all right. There were no right answers or like wrong. So the important things for me is to collect all these different thoughts and emotions and remember it and write it down, and then put it out when it's really essentials on the set. I just use it. So every time I read it or doing the performance, I'm so amazed by Sanja all the time because she's so strong, and she's.
Do you keep journals? Are there sort of when you say you write it down, do you collect sort of a lot of thoughts? So are you in dialogue with her?
For me, when I prepare for the role, I usually don't practice a lot because I just read it. I just read it like hundreds of times. And then, I write it on my diary. Not exactly diary, but there's a note that I write every time I'm on the project. So I write it down whatever I feel or think, and what would I do in this situation, and what would Sanja would do, and I compare these two different thoughts. Then that's why I need a lot of notes when I'm on the project. But I that's kind of like my process to move on.
You mentioned your grandmother. It must have been really intense to spend time to have gotten this audition scene that is already extremely emotional and overwhelming, and to be trying to grapple with this story that, as you said, is just perpetually surprised by what it was like, and to then find somebody in your life who had experienced those things. What were those conversations with your grandmother like?
Well, to be honest, it was not my first time having this kind of conversation with my grandmother, because from the childhood, she told me a lot of her personal episodes of her childhood, which was not kind of that intense because she's a really, really great storyteller. She's hilarious. So every time I listen to her story, it's so fun. Like it's like listening to fairy tales, because I feel like literally like fairy tale, because I feel like it's kind of unbelievable situations that she's faced before. But for this time, I didn't want her to feel like that she's the resource of my work. Yeah. So that's so rude. So I just,
no, absolutely, yeah.
So I had to attach to her really naturally. And the reason why I went to her house was not only about that. I was just there because she wanted me to have a nice meal before the shooting. So like that's what was on this our show too, that the food itself is kind of like a language. Absolutely. So like, yeah, and then she were talking about her own episodes and her own things and about that, how to live in that era as a woman. So yeah, most of the stories I laughed because she was so funny. But the last sentence that she gave me was that she was so happy that I can have an opportunity to have these wonderful stories to represent all these women, but she's at the same time so sad that I have to suffer all these kind of things, even if it's a performance. Yeah. So by that one sentence, I just got it. It was kind of like hearing all these stories and all this like, I had to clean it up. But after this one sentence, it just problem solved. And yes, this is it. I have to attach to this one. This is not only just I was having a hard time. It's more than that. It is more than that. So it's just it was kind of intense, but still so funny. And it was kind of most important thing was that I had a time with my grandmother. That it's just like a different generations having a conversation about ourselves and our generations, about like our environment. And I think that was really good, which was related to the Pachinko too.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to ask, it seems like such an opportunity, but also such a challenge to have such a distinguished actor playing yourself as an older person. Did you have conversations with each other about the performance, about who this character was going to be, or did you work mostly separately? How was that process?
With YJ, I didn't have any words on the set because our schedule was totally different, and our location were different. We didn't have any time to meet each other because we were apparently same characters, so it's kind of but still I don't know why, but I had a faith to both Yuna, the baby Sonja, and elder Sonja, because I trust them, and then I trust our showrunners and our producers because they had a reason to cast us, because they felt like we had similarities because they saw all of us doing the performance and doing the scenes. So I just trusted all of the people in the Pachinko, and I trusted myself, and I kind of felt the connections between three of us. So that's why we didn't need any conversation, I guess.
That's remarkable though, because the connection, because this character is the thing that connects all of these different stories. But you have seen all of it now, and you have seen her performance. What is it like to watch this older version of this person that you embodied? Are there things watching it that you think, oh, that's great, I'm totally stealing that next season?
I was like, oh my God, I should try harder. And I was watching her performance. She's so brilliant. Like, even though she doesn't have any line, she was just sitting down, she was looking at Solomon. I was like, I just repeated, like, I think that's a really charming point of the platform series, because I can repeat it every time I want to say it again. I was just like, I had to get an energy from her. Yeah. So, and she was, like she was also the legendary actress in Korea. So, but this one, it was different.
Yeah. You were mentioning food and how important food is. There are so many just exquisite scenes in episode 4. And I want to talk about a couple of them, but I have to say, for all of the sort of major emotional moments, the moment where you're just eating rice in this episode it really messed me up, I just have to say. And I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about, well, first of all, it's always sort of interesting. What is it like to shoot with food? I mean, the experience of eating it and like that is just sort of a challenge, but also what that particular scene was like.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene. It was actually my first scene with Justin. Really? It was our first scene with Justin. Really? So, yeah, it was night, and with Yangjin and I promised not to see each other's eyes, because we knew that whenever we see each other's eyes, it's gonna be terrible because we cannot stop crying. But before we got into that shooting on set, Yangjin, the actress who played Yangjin, she was adjusting my clothes off camera and said, "How can I let you go?" And that just, it made me crazy. Like, I couldn't stop crying. But on the editing version, it seems like I don't cry that much, but I just cry so hard that Justin had to stop me and you should stop, cry, and eat your meal and continue your meal. I couldn't. And right after I saw the white rice, it's just like, I was so speechless. Oh my God, how can I eat this? Like, how? And this is my last night with my mom, and I'm no longer the daughter of my mom. I have to be another mom. And I have a baby in my stomach, and this complicated thoughts just came through my mind, and it became so simple. I don't want to leave. And then still I had to eat. And when I first started to eat it, it was so delicious that I couldn't stop.
Helps.
Yeah, the crew who made the food stylist, they had to fool my rice.
We're gonna need her to. We're gonna need her to keep eating.
Another. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is so good, because I had to skip for dinner for that scene.
That's lovely, though.
Yeah, but still, I couldn't stop crying. And the performance of Yangjin. Every time I feel her temperature and atmosphere, it just made me like,
Yeah, so you have there are so many moments in this episode, but I think what's partly so impressive to me is that although it feels like so many of them are in that same I don't want to leave sort of core feeling, there's such a spectrum of ways that gets expressed in the episode. I mean, you have this just incredible, lovely, but also very stern relationship between you and your mother. There is the tension of the love triangle and the way that you interact differently with these two men. There are your two friends and the trying to find different ways to play that same note in each of those different interactions. Were there conversations that you had with your director about sort of what each scene needed to be, or was this mostly sort of you coming in from the script with work that you had already done and writing?
Actually, whenever I'm on set, Kogonada or Justin didn't ask me a lot of opinion. We didn't have a lot of talk before the scene because they trust me and I trusted them. And most of the scenes Sonja had was really intense and it was quite emotional. So right before I had to be on the set, I have to concentrate and just engross in the moment. So like, I guess they were kind of, it's best to not talk to me because I was so like so intense. I was just about to cry. Yeah. And I went the camera on, I have to cry right away. So that's why we didn't have a lot of conversation. Right. But still, they trust me a lot, which I appreciate them a lot. And I respect them a lot. And that's why, and that's how I could just do whatever I want. And then, yeah, especially in episode 4, I had to face with a lot of characters. But that's why I respect our showrunner producer so much, because every time I look at them, I just feel them and I know that they're in the characters. So they just help me to concentrate and they just help me to feel that they're Yangjin or Hansu or Isak or Bongi or Toki. So it's just I kind of follow my instinct. And especially when I say goodbye to the boarding house people and when I say goodbye to Yangjin right before I ride the ship, it just reminds me of my mom so hard. And secret of that scene where I say goodbye to Yangjin, right before that scene, I text with my mom and she said, I don't know why she said that. She apparently didn't know that I was shooting that scene, but she said, hey, you know what? I miss my mom too. And then I thought, yeah, my mom is my grandmother's daughter too.
That would have messed me up.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, Mom, why did you do that to me? But thank you. Because that really helped me a lot. But that really hurt. I mean, it's like broke my heart a lot. But still, I was keep thinking about my mom. And my mom as a mom, but also my mom as a daughter too. And which also related to my grandmother. Yeah. And I was shooting that scene in Vancouver, so I miss my mom too, with like long distance. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like I felt like this whole environment helped me a lot to just be in that moment and be present. Yeah.
What was the ship like? It's such an impressive set. Had they built all these different rooms? What was it like, sort of inside that space?
Oh my God! Like actually, it was my first scene in Vancouver, so. When I saw the set, oh my God, they were like real animal walking around on the set. I was like, this is so cool. I was like, this is really cool. Like, yeah. And then when I was really sick in the ship in the episode, so I was first dehydrated a lot because I had to breathe really hard, and there were a lot of people in that small room. So actually, I really had panic attack at that moment because there's so many people and it was so intense, and we had to listen to the songs that the opera singer soprano was having on the opera stairs, and the set itself was really like a ship, even though it was not moving or anything, but still it was amazing.
I know sometimes performances are can be really cued to seeing a particular set and saying like, oh, that's what this character is like, or an item of clothing. I'm curious if any of your sort of costumes or if any of the spaces in the show were really fundamental to how you saw the role.
Well, first of all, when I arrive on set, and then I do the hair makeup, I first become Sonja. And then when I change to my wardrobe, second, I become a Sonja. And then I'm on the set. And when I see all this like, beautiful set, and then I become real Sonja. And then I do the performance, I become like true Sonja. And then it's just like the step and step and step. And this whole wardrobe and this hair makeup, that helped me a lot. Yeah. Like this hair, this whole like wonderful wardrobes, it makes me kind of free all the time. And it made Sonja, not me. But like I said before, felt like this environment, whole people were helping me to be Sonja.
I, with my extremely parochial American ear, cannot hear it, but I understand that the accent that you were working on was really important and challenging. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about that, because it's such a technical element of it, but seems so important and challenging.
Right, is in Korean dialect, so I had to prepare a lot for that. I had to spend a lot of time for that, because in Korea, those dialects are really sensitive. So if I say it wrong, or like the intonation is really important, but if I do it if I kind of like screw it, it's gonna be really terrible. I knew that because like there were a lot of movies or series that about dialect, so I had to work a lot. But thankfully, Yangjin, my mom, she's the one who used that dialect, so she helped me a lot. And our scripter, she was also from that area, so she helped me a lot. And also I have my own teacher, and I also had a lot of just my normal friends who can speak dialect. So I asked them a lot and a lot and a lot. And so my last step was on the ADR. So on the ADR, I just wanted to nail it. Just nailed it. I just didn't want any trouble because of this dialect. So it was really pretty hard. It was really pretty hard because whenever I'm in the emotional things, my dialect were wrong. If my dialect was right, my emotional things were like in nowhere. So I had to do this both things simultaneously. So
like patting your head.
Yeah. But just I get used to it maybe. And Sonja, she doesn't talk a lot. She's mostly speak with her eyes and with her body. So most of the time I try to focus on that too.
It's so true. So much of what I think hit me most about this episode, but so much of the show, is just how transparent the emotions are on your face in a way that is so effective. But I mean, it has to be so difficult. I mean, just working from television, you don't know what cuts they're going to take. It's hard to sort of retain continuity from like, but am I this version of that last scene or am I this one? Are there moments watching it now that you think like, well, I'm very glad they took that particular one because that one was quite, I mean, I sort of, the process of watching the finished object must be very sort of fascinating, but also a little bit like,
Of course, I couldn't watch it first. I couldn't really. I couldn't when the first 3 episodes came out. I was like, I had to stop it for so many times because I cannot be objective when I'm watching it because I'm literally seeing myself and feel so weird and like, why am I doing that? Why am I having that faces? Oh my god, I couldn't see it. Like, it was so embarrassing, and I really want to do it again. But still, when I watch it again right now, just that was my best options, the best choice. And I believe my directors and Sue, they made their choices, cute. So and now when I go back to Vancouver or Korea, whenever I was shooting that scene, I couldn't do it better. Really, I just tried my hard, my best, and I just tried. One of my, I just try not to be technical. I think that was not right. I just want to believe in myself, and just be in that moment and try to be honest. I thought honesty was the best technique that I have to take over.
That's lovely, and it makes so much sense. Thinking about the show and about what is so strong about it. I want to thank you so much for being here. I have one last question, which is perhaps sort of slightly superficial, but I was obsessed with the opening credits of this series. They are so effective at, it's not like they are making the show feel more light than it is. I mean, but at communicating that there are ranges of emotions, that we are not just in this suffering place, right? I wonder if you could talk a little bit about shooting the opening credits and like what they told you it was going to be and then what you felt like when you actually saw them.
They just told me just dance. Yeah, just dance. What's your favorite songs? And I danced for like 2 hours and I was sweating like, but still it was so fun. And that was the only moments that I and Sonja laughed so hard. And I think that's related to our show too, because like even though we were suffering so many things and we had to overcome all these obstacles, there's a joy in it. Like there's a joy in like certain joy it could be not that certain, but still there's a joy, and that's the reason why we're like living on and moving on. So I think after this opening credits, after I saw this opening credit, I realized that, oh, this is why they made this opening sequence, because it was on the script too. Really? That we were going to dance, and
I don't know if I've ever seen a scripted opening credits.
But we had, and I thought that was, oh my God, Sue, I want to take this scene. I can't wait to, shoot this scene. But it was held in Vancouver, but we didn't have much time to shoot for the opening credits, so I thought we couldn't do it, but we just made time to do it, and then I dressed it, and I told them I want to be barefoot because I just want to be free. And we had a lot of like hip hop music and rock and roll music and like all these like crazy songs. And we just danced and just tried to be free. Not try to be free, but we just naturally be free, just enjoy. And we were like sweating. So like after 2 hours of dancing, I just got into my house and slept for 4 hours. Yeah, that's what we were doing.
Well, that is incredible. I'm very happy to know about that. And I want to thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much.
If you have not seen, you must watch the rest of this series. It's so, so special. Thank you very much.
Thank you.